Hello there. Are you looking for a stress reduction tool? If you are, I really want you to stick around. Hey everyone, I'm Sue Simmons. I am the founder of Equinox Family Consulting. I want to help you learn the skills to manage difficult behavior, to feel competent as a parent to your ASD child, and to cultivate a more positive and loving connection. Sound good? Excellent. So hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of To the Spectrum and Beyond. Today we are going to talk about, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use EFT. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And it is an incredible mind-body methodology. It's a combination of Eastern acupressure and Western psychology. And, you know, believe it or not, it wasn't until recently that scientists actually acknowledged that there was such a thing as the mind-body connection, which is really kind of surprising because I think everyone knows that it's there. So consider this, you know, you're going to do something scary like doing a Facebook Live, for example, and you think about it and you think, oh my gosh, what if nobody's interested? What if no one watches it? What if I mess up? And then what happens, right? We get a feeling. So we get butterflies in our stomach, or we get tension in our shoulders. So we think a thought, we experience an emotion, and that emotion creates a feeling, and then those feelings will usually lead to some kind of action or behavior. So in today's insane world with all of the stress that we're under, we really need to watch ourselves with stress because cortisol, the stress hormone, can build up in our system if we're exposed to chronic stress and make us sick. And nobody wants that. It can lead to all kinds of health problems. So EFT looks kind of weird, but it works. It really does. And it is scientifically proven and evidence-based and all those good things. So it was once considered kind of out there woo-woo. It is not any longer. There is a ton of great research on the internet that you can find, and I'm going to talk about some things that it's very, very effective for. So I want you to think about this scenario. So you're driving and you're stopped at a red light and you see a collision, or someone, you know, has a bicycle crash, and there's someone lying on the ground who's obviously injured. What do you do with your hands? I want you to think about that. We do things like this, you know, we cup our heads in our hands, we put our hands over our heart. Sorry if that made a sound. So these are all the places that we tap on when we're doing EFT. And I don't think it's really any coincidence that we tap on those places, because we just naturally touch these parts of our face when we're really stressed, which is kind of cool. And these are the places where meridians come to the surface of the skin. And a meridian is like an energy channel. And so they have been proven to exist. They've been, you know, scientists, researchers have actually seen these meridians, so we know them to exist. And these are the places where if you have acupuncture, an acupuncturist will put in the needles. Thank you for the love. And there are all kinds of meridians in our bodies, but the ones that we use for EFT are the ones that are easily accessible. So on our face and our torso. And what happens when we tap? Well, when we tap, or we don't even have to tap, we can just touch these points, which I'll show you in a moment. When we touch these points, there is, what is it called? I always forget. Mechanosensory transduction, right? Try and say that 5 times. So basically what that means is that the act of touching these points sends an electrical signal through the conductive tissue in our bodies to the emotional parts of our brain. And so it tells the amygdala, which is the fight or flight part of our brain back here, that is responsible for that sort of fight, flight, freeze effect. It tells that part of our brain, excuse me, to calm down. So after tapping, what happens is the issue that we're tapping on doesn't hold the same emotional charge. And so as a result, we are not left up to our own, emotions to guide us. We can choose a more positive response. And so this allows us to be free from our emotions. So hence the name. So tapping is effective for all kinds of issues that we face on a daily basis: stress, anxiety, headaches, chronic pain, PTSD. It's actually widely accepted for PTSD, which is pretty amazing. Weight loss, there have been studies proving that using EFT can reduce the impact of cravings. So we can, again, choose a more positive response when we feel like eating cookies or ice cream, for example. And it's also really effective for reducing limiting beliefs. And we all have these beliefs from experiences when we were young. So, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm too this or I'm too that. And so through working with a practitioner, or sometimes on your own, you can reduce these limiting beliefs, which really hold us back from putting ourselves out there, kind of like I'm doing right now, and really trying to reach our goals. So it is, it's such a wonderful tool. And a couple of years ago, I went through a really tough period. I had sustained a really serious injury to my ankle. I was off my feet for a month. I had some personal stuff happening. My mom was in the hospital, and I was really stuck. I did a lot of tapping, and then once I was able to drive to go and see my mom, I was driving back and forth to Toronto pretty much every other day. So I would tap in the car, and I really didn't give a shit who saw me. It really didn't matter. I'm never going to see these people again. So I just tapped, and I did what's called ranting, which is just tapping on the points and saying what's on my mind. So why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? I'm so freaking angry, and so on and so on. And after a couple of days, I started to notice a big shift. And it was such a reminder of how tapping on a consistent basis, and we do have to tap consistently, can be so incredibly helpful. So I'm going to start by showing you where the tapping points are. And there are many different points we can tap on, but for the most part, we use the points I'm going to share with you. They don't have to be done in any particular order, but generally speaking, we tap kind of 5 to 7 times on each point. So the side of the hand, and this is where we tap when we're using a setup phrase, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So just this fleshy part on the side of the hand, the inside of the eyebrow, the outside of the eye where the bone is, under the eye, it's kind of frustrating with glasses on, but under the eye, on the bone, under the nose, at the chin point, so just above your lower lip, on the collarbone. So if you let your arm down and then bring your arm back up, so right where your fingers reach, below your collarbone, under the arm, sort of where your bra line would be, and the top of the head. Okay, so those are the basic tapping points. And there are many different ways of tapping, but there are 3 sort of main standards for tapping, and I'm going to explain each of those briefly for you. So bronze tapping is really just tapping on the points. So this is something you can do when you're sitting at a red light, watching TV, in the shower, in the bathroom, just, whenever. That's a really good thing to do. So that's bronze tapping. Silver tapping is when we're tapping along to a tapping script. And there are all kinds of scripts online that you can find. They're usually written with the intention of addressing a particular issue, such as anxiety, for example. So in using a tapping script, we tap while we read the phrases that are written in the script. So I just want to give you a word of caution about using tapping scripts. They are great, but don't use a tapping script for any issue that is really big for you, because there are times when we can have a really intense emotional reaction. And if you're by yourself, if you don't have someone to support you through it, it can be really scary. So I would just suggest that you use tapping scripts on things that are, less fraught with emotion. I use tapping scripts in my Better Behavior Bootcamp, and each week I give the members a new tapping script. And this time we're doing something different. I'm going to teach the moms how to use tapping with their kids. And kids are very responsive to tapping because they're littler. They don't have the same life experience or the same kind of layers of gunk that we do as adults. And the third type of tapping is gold. Excuse me. And gold tapping is what you would do when you're tapping with a practitioner. And I am a certified practitioner, just so you know. So when we're doing gold tapping, there's a real process that we go through. But the big difference between silver and gold is that we are tapping on, we're really customizing it for the client. So whatever the issue is, the thoughts that are associated with it, the feelings and emotions that are associated with it, and the behaviors, such as what does this issue make you want to do. So we go through a process of working with the client to tap the intensity down for each of these issues. And we usually wind up finding a core belief that we can then shift. So it's a really amazing process. And by the way, if you're in our Lemons to Lemonade ASD Moms group, next week, I'm going to be tapping with one of the moms in the group, so you can see what a gold standard tapping session would look like. If you're in Canada and you want to learn more about tapping, I would visit neftti.com. That's NEFTTI.com. That is our Canadian Institute for EFT, and I'm certified through Nancy Forrester, who's the wonderful CEO of that group. In the States, you can go to emofree.com. Jessica, to answer your question, yes, it would definitely help with behavioral challenges. You would want to try to tap so that you're preventing the challenge, because there are times when kids don't want to tap when they're upset, but you can definitely try that, absolutely. And like I said, I think you'll find it's very effective. Another good site is the tappingsolution.com. So the tappingsolution.com. So we're about to start tapping, and we first begin by identifying the issue, and we want to try and get really, really specific. So not I'm mad or I'm feeling anxious. You want to be very, very specific. And so what I'm going to tap on right now is I'm mad at my son for leaving his shoes by the door, which he does. And if the front hall lights aren't on, then I will often trip over his shoes. So Jessica, emotional freedom techniques is what EFT stands for. Thank you for the question. I'm glad that you asked in case I did not mention that. So we've got our issue. And first of all, what we want to do is we want to rate the intensity on a scale of 0 to 10. So we call this SUDS, subjective units of distress. So we always rate throughout our tapping so that we can see how the emotion is shifting. So when we begin, we use what we call a setup phrase. And the setup phrase looks like this. Even though I'm mad at my son for leaving his shoes in the front hallway, I accept myself and where I'm at. And so we have to accept the thing that we're feeling that's negative. And some people get kind of thrown off by that. They think, why would I want to focus on something negative? Well, I have two things to say about that. Number one, if you're just stuffing it down and not acknowledging it, it's going to come back up. So you may have heard the saying, if what you resist persists. So in order to address a problem, we have to first acknowledge it, but we accompany that with acceptance of that problem and acceptance of ourselves. So we will often say something like, even though I have this, whatever it is, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable saying that. So in this case, I'm just going to say, I accept myself and where I'm at. And once we're finished the setup phrase, then we go to tapping on the spots. And rather than tapping on each spot and saying, even, you know, my son leaving the shoes in the front hallway, we shorten it with the reminder phrase, okay? Shoes in the hallway. Oh yeah, Louise Hay also has a saying that Karen mentioned to me this morning, which is really good. If you're cleaning the floor and you don't acknowledge where the dirt is, you can't clean it up. So it really does make sense when you think about it. All right, so even though my son, so I'm going to say I'm at about a 7 right now because I actually did trip in the hallway just before coming upstairs. So even though I'm angry at my son for leaving his shoes in the hallway, I accept myself and where I'm at right now. Even though I'm angry at my son for leaving his shoes in the hallway, I accept myself and where I'm at right now. Even though I'm angry at my son for leaving his shoes in the hallway, I accept myself and where I'm at right now. So we repeat the setup phrase 3 times, and then we go to the points. Shoes in the hallway. Shoes in the hallway. He always leaves his shoes in the hallway. And you want to feel free to really let her rip. I'm angry about those flipping shoes in the hallway. He's always leaving those shoes in the hallway. Shoes in the hallway. Shoes in the hallway. He always leaves his shoes in the hallway. Shoes in the hallway. Why does he do that? Drives me crazy. Shoes in the hallway. Makes me angry. Shoes in the hallway. I'm angry. Shoes in the hallway. So now I've done a couple of rounds. So each one of those was a round, and I stop, tune into what I'm feeling inside, and then I take a nice deep breath. I'm going to do another one. Okay. So it's definitely come down, I would say, to maybe a 4. But what's happened is something else has popped into my head, and this is very common. So Diane, hi, thank you so much for coming. And so the next thought is, what if I hurt my ankle again? That would be so bad. So I'm going to say, you know, even though if I hurt my ankle, I'd be so pissed off, I accept where I am and I accept myself. Even though I'm terrified of tripping and hurting myself, I accept where I am. Even though I'm terrified about falling and hurting my ankle again, I accept where I am and myself. So don't want to hurt my ankle. I can't afford time off. I don't want to go through that again. That was horrible. I don't want to hurt my ankle. I'm really afraid of that happening. I don't want to fall in the dark. I do not want to hurt my ankle again. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, so I didn't rate that, but I'm going to say it was about a 6, and it's probably about a 4 right now. So now what's coming up for me is, why won't he just do it? You know, it's such a simple thing. Why won't he just do it? So I'm going to tap on that. I'm not going to do the setup phrase again. I'm just going to go right to the points. Why won't he listen? Why doesn't he listen? It's such a simple thing. Just move your freaking shoes. It's really not that big a deal. Just move your shoes. Move those shoes. Don't leave them right by the front door. Why won't he listen? Just do it. Get over yourself and do it. I don't want to fall. It makes me angry. Why won't he just do it? Just listen to me and stop leaving the shoes there. Just do it. Okay, So it's definitely coming down. I'm going to take a nice deep breath. Another one. Okay. So I'm definitely feeling quite a bit more relaxed. And when I'm working with a client, and actually Diane, who's here, is the woman I'm going to be tapping with next week. But when I'm tapping with a client, you can see a release occur. You can see that there, you know, and I can see looking at my face now that there is less of a stressed look on my face. And you can see it in their bodies. And so at this point, I would stop. I would ask my client, you know, how are you feeling now? And I would test. So I would say, okay, you just came home and you walked in the hallway and there were those shoes and you tripped. So the testing would enable my client to see, okay, so I'm still triggered. So that would mean we need to go back to the drawing board and address it again. So I'd say, what's coming up for you now? And there might be another aspect that comes up. So there are all kinds of different aspects to an issue that we may not think about until we get tapping. And so once we tap some of that stress down, it allows new thoughts to come in. So I'm going to stop there because I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, Diane, the self-talk accompaniment is really powerful, and just to acknowledge what you're thinking. Hi, Corby. Hey, welcome. Thank you for coming. And so, yeah, the combination of the tapping and the talking just allows us to get to a place where, you know, now I feel like I can go and I can have a conversation with my son and I cannot blow my top. So I'm calm enough that I can have a productive conversation and express my love and explain why it's an issue for me and come up with the plan that we can both work with. Such as, next time I see the shoes in the hallway, I'll throw them in the garbage or something like that. So anyway, so that is what tapping looks like. And I would encourage you just to start tapping. If you go online and just Google tapping points for EFT, you'll find a couple of illustrations of where the tapping points are. So just tap, start, and see how you feel. You can look up a script online, but just don't use a tapping script with something that's really, really big, because I do not want you to wind up having a really big emotional upset when you're by yourself. But should that happen, it's okay if you start tearing. It's okay if you feel upset. Just keep on tapping, okay? And open your eyes, focus on something across the room, feet on the floor, and just keep tapping until that emotion passes, okay? And it will pass. So now you know a little bit more about EFT. If you haven't joined the group, the Lemons to Lemonade ASD Moms group, write lemons down below in the comments and you'll get a link to join the group. And that way you can come and see me working with Diane next week. And please like and share. Thank you, Diane. Like and share this broadcast, please. Would this help for anxiety? Yes, absolutely. Remember, it's going to be more effective if you're working with a practitioner. However, you can definitely make some headway on your own using a tapping script or just tapping. But remember, if you're tapping on anxiety, be specific about what the anxiety is related to. So for example, I'm anxious about taking that test next week on Thursday. That relates to, that's a biology exam, for example. So you want to really narrow it down so you can be specific. Thank you so much. So, okay, before I go, what I want you to do is, yeah, like and share this broadcast. I am on a mission to help ASD moms take back their power. Anyone who knows me knows that this is my mission. So please share this with anyone you know who may have a child with autism. I want to get this out to the people who need it. Yes, Jessica, please forward this to your friend. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys again. Thanks for joining me for To the Spectrum and Beyond. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now, everyone. Take care.